Okay, so you guys did that. Why is comedy important? That would be the next video. Not yet. We decentralized the distribution model of Plandemic. And the method that I designed that allowed it to reach 1/8 of our global population, the movie has been seen, number one, has been seen well over 1 billion times at this point, probably edging towards 1.5 billion. And number two was seen a few 100 million times. The censors were really ready for us on the second one, so number three, they're not going to have a chance to catch this one. We got some secrets up our sleeves. But the way that we achieved it really was by the power of the people, by decentralizing the distribution model, and by reversing everything that we've learned about distribution and marketing. Distribution and marketing has a very hoarding mentality, right? You want to capture everything. You want to gain the traffic, and you want to gain the emails and all of that. And I said, from the very beginning, when this started, I said, this is not my information. Nothing I'm going to say in this is my information. Nothing's proprietary. This is the people's information that's been stolen from them. And let's do the right thing and let's give it away. And in doing so, we said, let's create a model of generosity by avoiding all the traps of trying to gain from it, and just how generous can we be? Can we just keep it pure by giving this thing away? And the result of that was, it was you that carried it around the world. It was the people. So for everyone who shared my movie, thank you. For everyone who got deplatformed and censored, I'm sorry. But again, thank you. I had a lot of people come up to me over the past 2 years and say, because of you, I'm no longer on Twitter. Well, actually, you're welcome. And so it's, it really caused me as a filmmaker to look at the whole model differently on how we share our media and the importance of media. And it began, my awakening began, I come from the very far left, and so I also feel like a real responsibility to clean up some of the false ideologies and narratives that I helped support and even create. Thank you. I was on the road with Bernie Sanders. I was his, one of the main media guys that helped build his revolution. And then I went on the road with Tulsi Gabbard, who is a wonderful person. But it was really on the road with Bernie Sanders that I started to see behind the curtain. And while I was there, I had I've been studying the hero's journey for a number of years, and I just kept feeling like I kept thinking about the dog Toto in Wizard of Oz, and I was like, something's happening to me as I'm on the road here, and I'm asking questions to people, and I edit my own film, and so I know when I ask a question, if I get the totality of the answer back, because I'm always editing in my head, and I've never had the experience of having this feeling of like, I just can't get complete answers from anybody. No one can give me really solid foundation. I don't feel like I have everything I need to take this back to the edit bay and make a cohesive narrative out of it. And that was weird for me. And then I started thinking about what I learned when I was studying the hero's journey, the beautiful story that is the Wizard of Oz. You have a young lady who is thrust by natural disaster, a hurricane of sorts, and the escaping of her little dog Toto that sends her off into another world. And on this journey, she meets different aspects of her character, in the Tin Man and the Lion and the Scarecrow. And those are all different aspects of her being that are fragmented and separated. And then she discovers the yellow brick road, the path, her journey. And that path also has forks in it. The temptation, the devil in the crossroads. Which way will you go when you hit that fork in the road? And through this journey, with all the trials and tribulations and all the different characters that come along to help her and thwart her, she ends up at the castle, following this great voice of Oz, the almighty voice of Oz. And Toto, which ultimately represents intuition and innocence, pulls back the curtain for Dorothy and exposes the great voice of Oz. And once you see, you cannot unsee. And we've all seen, everyone in this room has seen behind the curtain. We've seen the frightened little man at the levers, and we know that's not God. And we know that's the voice not to follow. And that's one of the most incredible and valuable things that I think we've gained globally as a human organism, due to the COVID-19 situation, is that we've lost trust in the gurus and the leaders. And it's allowed us to then look deeper at what is it that we can trust, what deserves our trust. And going deeper into the hero's journey, there's a common lesson. It was about 10 years into studying the hero's journey that I realized, I was studying the work of Joseph Campbell, and I realized, this is one story. This really is just one story we've been telling ourselves since the cradle of civilization. Over and over and over, but different characters, different reasons for the plot to unfold, but it's really the same story. It's the reluctant hero that doesn't know he or she's the hero, that ultimately is taught along the way that the force is within, that they are the one. And that's what I see happening right now, particularly in rooms like this. I see people finally going, oh, okay, we really are the ones we've been waiting for. And I'm going to ask by show of hands, who is 60 or older in this room? You should raise your hands. Who is 70 or older in this room? Anyone 80 and older in this room? For everyone who raised your hand, thank you. Thank you. We in the West here have adapted a really incredible practice of discarding our elders, the wisdom keepers. And half of the pandemic, not half, but a good portion of the pandemic is going to be redirecting our attention to the importance of our wisdom keepers. So thank you to everyone who raised your hand for paving the way for the rest of us to do the work we're now doing. Thank you. We are addressing a lot of things in Pandemic 3, and misleading maybe the intro is because it's really not that much about COVID. It's about what COVID was used for. We're not going to dwell too much on the numbers and all of that. We're going to give respect and a voice to those who've been injured and those who really need to be heard. But other than that, we're going to delve into the decades-long agenda that has now arrived at our doorsteps to strip away our liberties and to enslave us into a system very similar to communism. And I'm so glad that rooms like this are awake to that agenda. I'm really, really grateful for the work that everyone's doing here. I've heard so many great speakers, and it's very inspiring. I've traveled all over, as you saw, just a small chunk of the interviews that we've been gathering, and those are some of the known people, but we've been interviewing everyday people, and the most fierce people that I have come across are parents, particularly parents of injured children, and those who have a deep understanding of what God is. And so there's a real calling for us, regardless of where you've come. And I've been all through different aspects of my religious faith path. Everything from claiming to be an atheist, to being a Buddhist, to being a Taoist, to coming back to a new belief, and having deep respect for my Christian brothers and sisters, because I have traveled all over the country, and that is a culture that is unstoppable. And so I want to say to those right now, for my past judgments on your culture, which I am now part of, I'm sorry. I bought the lie. I'm sorry I bought the lie. Yeah. And I learned from results, I learned from reality that's in front of me, and all I know is I've had one incredible Christian after another in front of me, and you might not know their names or even their faces, but when they leave my interview chair, I'm in awe of who they are, with their commitment to fighting for the human organism. Yes. And I'll tell you a quick story of what started my journey towards looking for something greater. First, I want to say hi to my wife right there. My incredible wife, who, when we were pregnant, she was pregnant with our first child, and we had an incredible planned home water birth in Ojai, California. It couldn't have been more sacred and special, but it didn't quite turn out that way. We ended up on an emergency run to the hospital for an emergency C-section. And it was not going well. Our child, after really serious efforts from the doctors, was finally pulled out of the belly because he was stuck. And his little lifeless body was put on a machine, and he was not breathing. And Nadia was covered by a screen, so she couldn't see what was happening. And she could only see my face as I looked around the screen to try to find out what the heck was going on, and this machine was making an awful sound. And I could see the color of our baby's body going more purple every second. And there was no sound, except for the sound of this machine, which was horrible. And I made every effort to make promises, to pray in my own way. Having been raised with no religion, I didn't know what to say and who to even direct it to. And finally, I closed my eyes and I just said, God, let that baby breathe, and I will dedicate the rest of my life to that child and all of your children. And in that exact moment, that baby cried for the first time. And I've had a hard time backing off of that vow since that moment, because when I look at my incredible 10-year-old boy now, and we have a second child, 8 and 10-year-old incredible little guys, and I see what a wonderful little man my 10-year-old is becoming. I dive deeper into that promise to fight for our children. It is so important that we give our kids the chance to fully bloom in the most optimal way that they were born to bloom. And from that commitment this year, despite the fact that we're involved in so many things, which I'll share with you in a moment, I decided to coach Little League. People were like, you are nuts, dude. You are nuts. I'm producing 3 movies, 6 company startups. Kevin Jenkins and I are part of something called Freedom Med. We're going to revolutionize healthcare. There's a lot of things going on. But I said I'm going to make time to coach Little League. I'm going to tell you a little story that happened. So the kids are in their second year of Little League. The first year I was coaching from the stands. If any parents know what that means. I couldn't shut up, and it was so stressful. Because I'm like, God, I know what to say. Tell the kid his attitude. We got to bring these people together. They need to be cohesive. They're not a team yet. They're just kids playing. Come on, coaches. And so I'd go to the dugout and, hey guys, come here. And I'm like, here's what you need to do. And the coach was like, hey, we got this. So this year the coach called and he goes, so we're thinking since you're already coaching from the stands, you might as well join us on the field. I said, yes, thank you, I'll be there. And so I've been having these talks with these kids. And one of the kids, his name is Clark. And Clark was having a really tough time. Beautiful kid, just charismatic, handsome kid. And we were giving him all the mechanics of baseball that we could give him. And it didn't seem that he could take direction because he just wouldn't do it. And we would say over and over until the coach was like, he won't listen, man. I don't know what's going on. I tell him every day, raise your elbow, step into the stride. You're not, but he's not doing it. I don't know what's up. And so one practice, the coach came over and he said, can you have one of your talks with Clark? I said, yeah. I said, Clark, let me see what you're doing first of all. We have a little batting machine, the ball goes around, you have to hit it and keep it spinning. And I watched him and I said, do that thing we've been telling you, all season. Lift your elbow, do it. And I just wouldn't do it. So I said, come here, Clark. And we walk around the corner and we sit down on the grass and I'm sitting knee to knee with him. And I said, what's going on, buddy? What's going on? You never smile. What's going on, Clark? And he goes, I don't know. I go, what? He goes, I don't know. I said, is there anything you can share it with me? I said, this is about more than baseball if you haven't noticed. You can share anything with me. You got my word. I'll keep it to myself, but I want to know what's going on with you, bud. He goes, I said, what? He said, you guys don't. I go, Clark, I'm sitting right next to you and I can't hear you. I don't think you guys put me in good positions. I said, thank you, I heard that. You know why that is, Clark? I said, because every time we show up and we say, are you guys ready to play? Everyone says, yes, but you. You give us a maybe. And sometimes you even give us a no. And I said, there's 3 attitudes in life. No, maybe, and yes. What would it take to get you to a yes? I don't know. All right, come on back over to the batting machine. So we go back to the batting machine, and he's hitting the ball, and I said, you gonna do that? And he just, again, couldn't follow the mechanics. Finally I go, God, this kid's voice is locked up. Clark, when you hit the ball, I want to hear you grunt. And he goes, what? I said, grunt. I said, Clark, come on. I want to hear a grunt. Come on, Clark. Like a caveman. Give me a grunt. Clark. And then I start doing it with him. Every time he hit the ball. Come on! Come on, Clark! We got louder. Who cares what these people think? Who cares what they think? Let your voice out. Let me hear it. Let me feel it, Clark. Come on! And he's hitting that ball and he starts grunting. As loud and powerful as it could from the gut. And the next thing I know, everything in his body shifted and he was in perfect form. And I told the other coach, I said, Pat, look. And he goes, Clark, what happened? And he goes, I don't know. And he's hitting that ball. Wow. The next game, Clark hit his first home run. And so I share that story with you because what it taught me was our voices have been locked up. And when we free our voices, everything kicks into alignment. And that's what happened for me with Plandemic. Because I hid my voice for so long. I was so concerned about being liked. I've been Mr. Nice Guy my whole life. And everyone knew me as a really nice guy. And I'm a nice guy. But I'm also a warrior. Yeah. But I was afraid to be that warrior because the ideology of the community that I had been indoctrinated into told me that was bad. Told me that men shouldn't be that. And the very first time that I had a real opportunity to go beyond that was, how many of you remember the Covington students, the big scandal that happened, the Covington, Kentucky students? So there was a headline that happened a few years ago, before COVID, so probably about 3 years ago at this point, where the headline was, at this time I spent many years working with indigenous peoples and with Native American peoples, and so this really affected me, this headline. It said that a group of Catholic high school students surrounded the first Indigenous Peoples March and began chanting, "Build the wall." They were wearing red MAGA hats. And that was the headline. I thought, oh, you little bastards, really? That's a wicked, horrible thing. We're about to expose you with the weapon of media right now. So I go into my office, I said, drop everything we're doing, we're going to expose these kids. This has got to stop right now. And it took us about 3 hours to find out that the kids were set up and none of the headlines were close to true. That those kids had bought those hats from a vendor as they were doing a pro-life march in Washington. And they bought the hats, $5 hats from the vendor just so they could find each other like the kids do at Disneyland or whatever, wearing the same shirts, the same hats. That was their whole intention. And that they were surrounded by a bunch of adults who seized the opportunity to smear Donald Trump and sacrifice these 15-year-old kids. That's what really happened. And we were suddenly left with this choice, my team and I. Once we learned the truth, we said, what do we do? Because if we tell that story, if we tell the truth, we're never going to come back from that one. You can, in this landscape at that time, 3 years ago, you can't do anything that appears to support that. What do we do? And as a father of 2 boys, I said, we're going to tell the truth. So we told the truth, and that video went on to win massive settlements against Washington Post, New York Times, and other media outlets. And so that really lit a fire under me, and it lit a fire under my team, and then we went on to do the Kyle Rittenhouse case. So we have a branch of our company that's called that we do something called forensic filmmaking, where we help the underdogs that are being smeared by the media for political leverage to tell the truth.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And it's because of that, making those steps, that when I was then creating a documentary called The Narrative to expose the media, because I've been in the media for a number of years, and I, like Kevin said up here, how awesome is Kevin Jenkins, by the way? I love him. I know that game and I know how it works, and I've been in the boardrooms and I know what they do to create stories, to create narratives, and I know why they do it. And so we're creating a documentary called The Narrative, and I was working with all the top whistleblowers from all the different agencies. Right before the pandemic was announced, all the whistleblowers were saying, because of what's going on politically, I think there's going to be a false flag coming up. One of them actually said to me, a 9/11 size false flag. Watch carefully, something's going to be happening any day now. 2 weeks later, the pandemic is announced. So I knew right away, I knew what it was. And I called the smartest person I knew, which was Dr. Judy Mikovits. And I said, Judy, what's happening? And she started to break it down, because she worked under Anthony Fauci. And she knew exactly what was happening. Now, I lost a brother to a medicine called AZT, which was the drug that Anthony Fauci prescribed during the AIDS epidemic. 34 days later, I lost my mom to bad cancer treatments. So I know the downside of Western medicine and what it's become. And so that was the impetus for us to say, we need to drop what we're doing with the narrative, although we folded what we had produced at that time into Pandemic 2 to expose the media. How many of you see Pandemic 2?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. For me, that's really the bombshell.
It's so good.
Thank you. Part of that was going to be the narrative, but because we pulled back the curtain like Little Toto and we exposed the media, my next assignment was, I was speaking in DC on January 6th at a Health and Freedom conference when the Capitol was stormed. And as a journalist, I went over to cover the story. I was actually going over to find my 2 female videographers to make sure they were safe. And the media recognized me and did their best. How many of you saw the headlines about me January 6th being a domestic terrorist? They said I was leading the insurrection, that I was leading them hang Mike Pence chant, everything they could possibly do to try to get me locked up. It was a very scary couple of months that I had to deal. A lot of money that was spent with lawyers, and my incredible, powerful wife was with me through it all. I had to go into hiding and to make a little short film. Thankfully, I had video of me to prove my whereabouts, my behavior, and thank God I wasn't wearing a mask, because they would have claimed that I was part of the chant. And all of that, the FBI just did their job. I don't think it's a big conspiracy or anything like that, but it was the people. And a lot of people that I knew for years, they were actually posting things to the FBI to try to have me taken down. And it was amazing to me to witness how fast the human organism turns on itself. And so this is what we have to be incredibly vigilant about in this room and everything that we do from this moment on. I've been involved in a lot of major situations as a journalist. And I have seen some great movements gain some incredible power, very important progress. And every single time it has collapsed from within because of the people. Every single time. And it starts with little things like, I think he's controlling opposition. How many of you heard that? I think he's compromised. Good people. People call me about my friend Dale Victory all the time. He's a champion. I think Dale's controlling opposition. I live 3 miles from Dale. I guarantee you he's not. And so we have to stand up against that, because if there is a psyop to divide us, it is that. Yes, that stuff happens, but it's so rare. And the real way that happens is by planting the doubt within our movements that have us start to distrust each other. It's hugely important that we see past that. And that if we have an issue with someone, go straight to them and talk to them. Because we have to stay unified. Right now, more than anything, United we stand, divided we fall. That was spoken 2,600 years ago. There's a reason it survived the test of time. And so everything that's happening right now is to divide us. It is so critical that we heal the divide. This thing has divided. How many of you in here have family members that no longer speak to you because of the COVID situation? So whatever it takes, which might be forgiveness, it's time for us to heal the divide, to come back with each other, to realize that is exactly what weakens all of us, is when we can no longer talk to our parents or our sisters and our brothers. It is really, this is the time to heal the divide. And there's so much good happening. Matter of fact, I have a little list here I want to read you before I go, just of a few things that I thought of on the airplane here to inspire myself, and hopefully inspires you too. All right. Mainstream media viewership is tanking. Both Cuomo brothers have been canceled. One of the worst race hustlers on TV, Joy Reid, has had her worst rating month ever. CNN Plus died in just 3 weeks. Elon bought Twitter. Sorry, Kevin, I think it's a good thing. Former CEO of McDonald's is forming a coalition to fight against woke corporations. Wow. The brand new Patriot-founded company Jeremy's Razor surpassed woke Harry's Razors on Twitter in just 3 days. Netflix is tanking. Biden's approval rating is at an all-time low. Bill Maher appears to be chewing on a red pill. Disney is finally being exposed as a predator grooming factory. It is. Yes. BLM founders are being exposed for embezzling millions of dollars. Coca-Cola, or AKA Woca-Cola, stock is crashing. The activist platform known as the Academy Awards is also dying. Hillary Clinton is finally facing serious charges. Russell Brand and Joe Rogan are now getting more views than all the top mainstream media. Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, and Google's parent company Alphabet recently lost $400 billion in market value. So good things are happening, people. And it's happening because you're sharing your voice. And I will say that after everything that I've experienced in the past couple of years, I am now at a point of being absolutely hopeless. Because hope suggests that things might work out. I'm at a place of absolute certainty. Yes. Absolute certainty. Yes. This is what we were born for.
Yes.
This is the moment. How fortunate are we? Truly fortunate. And I don't mean to take away from all the people that have suffered through this, the pain, the death, the fear that so many people are paralyzed by. But in the end, it's a sacrifice that we had to make to bring us to this point of this great awakening together. And I don't know about you, but I'm grateful that I chose this moment, this time and space to inhabit this planet, this incredible planet.
Yes.
Lastly, I want to say to you that when I made the commitment not to profit financially off of pandemic, I then got a book offer, and I was perplexed because I said, well, how do I do this and not profit? You have to sell a book, right? So I turned it down 3 times, and finally I said, under one condition, and that is to my publisher, once you make your money back, can I give my book away? And so a couple of weeks ago at Defeat the Mandates in Los Angeles, how many of you saw that or were aware of that? I announced that my book is now free. And so I invite you all to go to pandemicaudiobook.com and download it for free forever. No charge, no strings attached. It's yours. My gift. I want to give a praise to the producers of this event. It's been such an honor to be with all of you. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you.
One of the things that I love about your work and your craft is how no matter what you take me as an audience member through, I am left with hope. Yeah. I am left uplifted. I am left invigorated in the sense that we can do this. We can do this.
We got it.
We're the ones that are here for this, fully capable, completely invested. And so with that, let us rest assured, we are putting a beautiful seal on this moment. And I'm going to invite us into we're curious about how we want to close this epic weekend. Because our hearts are full with that kind of humble awe and power that happens when we say yes to God's calling and God's investment in us, right? Can you all feel that? Can you feel that humble yet reassuring power that just fills you and overflows? And if you can't feel it, my invitation is to just go ahead and rest into that for a moment. So much courage and so much calling and yesness, and with a heart full and overflowing with gratitude, humility, and awe, and even more commitment to keep on showing up. I'm feeling that way, and I'm believing that you guys might be too. So, beautiful way to drink in the room. we want to put a beautiful seal on this. Thank you so much, Miki.
Release time? Right now it's set for...
Right now, it is set for the 4th of July.
People at home don't know what is set for the 4th of July.
Okay.
The release.
The release of Pandemic 3 is currently set for the 4th of July. You will find it everywhere. I'll just say that. We're building a massive network. We have support now, and literally what we did before was just through my social media accounts, and now we have so much support. The tide has turned in such a big way. People that were afraid to share it just a year ago are now calling us, people with massive networks, and we're linking them all up, and we'll be sending out links to the file to everybody. We'll send it to you guys, so make sure that all of you have it, and it will go out live. We're shooting our big finale. I do want to say this, you have another minute? So the reason we opened with those musical performances, those are all real, by the way. Is anyone unclear about that? Because I get people all the time saying, why do you guys shoot crazy stuff? I said, no, that's not us. That's what they did, the propaganda, to get all the young people to go, oh, it's so cool to get vaccinated, look at that. Unbelievable. And so that fired me up so much. I was so pissed off when I saw that montage we put together. I said, Pandemic 3 ultimately is going to be about reclaiming our gifts, particularly the gift of music. Music is one of the most powerful delivery systems that we've ever had. We see a good movie that we like maybe once, twice, 3 times. We hear a song for 30 years that we love. That message is embedded on loop in our minds. And our music, the frequencies of our music have been tuned away from harmonious frequencies to just chaotic frequencies. And so we're going to suggest that in the dark ages, when people were suffering from the Black Plague, and with the invention of the printing press, and all the new information was distributed to the people, new poetry, new ideas, new philosophies, and it sparked this thing we call the Renaissance, where the creative spirit came out and pulled us out of the dark ages. And we're suggesting that it's time for another Renaissance. And by reactivating the human spirit, the creative human spirit, because we're not consumers, we're creators. It's an entirely different action, consumption and creating. And so by reactivating the creative spirit, if you're a musician, reclaim that art. If you're a mother, see yourself as an artist. We're all artists. If you're a doctor, see yourself as an artist. Let's start living our life as artists again. Because all of it, everything that's powerful has been hijacked and hidden from us. Why do you think they're trying to tear down the word mother? Because there's nothing that most of us would fight for more than, you don't say anything about mama, right? Remember that whole thing? Like, say anything, don't say anything about mama. What happens when mama's not there anymore? All the pillars of everything worth living and dying for are being chopped away right now, and we will not allow that to happen.
That's right. Not on our watch.
Can you start that over again and turn it up? I forgot, we got one short video to show. Start that over, please.
The king's ego.
Start it over. Thank you. Turn it up.
Is comedy important? Comedy is the court jester. The purpose of the court jester in the kingdom is to help keep the king's ego in check. So the court jester is meant to point out the flaws, the holes in the king's actions and thinking, so the king can laugh at that and say, I didn't see that before. You know, my normal advisors can't tell me that because I cut their heads off. But you made me laugh, so you can tell me things, dear court jester, that other people can't tell me. Now, a king that means well realizes, yeah, at times I get out of balance. I get egotistical. I become corruptible. So the court jester, call me out. But a king who doesn't have the intention of serving his kingdom well, censored, deplatformed. So we know who the kings and queens truly are based on their tolerance to have the court jesters around and laugh at themselves. And the more tyrannical the king gets, the more we need the court jester.
You mentioned, sorry. In terms of, in terms of, I'm sorry, I can't help but notice the life jacket.
I'm glad you brought it up. I was getting a little uncomfortable. Are you a good person, Miki?
I'd like to think that I am.
But you're not.
Okay.
You're putting everybody at risk by not wearing a life jacket. My life jacket does not work unless you put one on.
Okay. I understand where you're going. It's not convenient.
Well,
In the middle of an interview.
I don't think keeping everybody safe, I don't know that convenience is really, should really be the question.
It's weird. I don't mean to just say this because you're sitting here in front of me, but I haven't felt this safe in a while. So where were we now?
You're a man of science, aren't you?
You mean the man I follow, Anthony Fauci?
Yeah. Yes. I'm a science man myself. The latest Flotation Device Administration information release, we're finding that one life jacket simply isn't enough.
That's awesome. Okay.
I mean, can you just imagine those idiots out there walking around like a moron, not wearing a life jacket right now?
So, what is perhaps something that we don't know about JP Sears that might be slightly uncomfortable for you to share with us? But because we're so close, and because I have blue eyes, today you might make an exception.
When I was a 7-year-old boy, I was the top collegiate female swimmer in the world.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you to Ross for remembering that. I totally forgot about that. But in line with what I was saying, we're using comedy and music, all of our gifts, to deliver these messages. So thank you so much, Ross, for the reminder. Thank you.
Good. Laughter is so good. Love is so good. Thank you for, a few things that have just been so reliable the weekend is just the goodness that we have brought together. The laughter, the love, the courage. It's just been really, really, really rich.
The hugs.
Oh my goodness.
Love.
Thank you everyone for showing up and all of that. Man, we want to give a couple people some thanks and gratitude, and then I know, Michael, we're curious what is a really great, juicy way to kind of complete our time. And you know, I wanted to give some thanks. You know, in the back of the room, we have had an epic security team. Todd and that gentleman in the black shirt. You guys are absolute angels. You can show people like shoulder rubs and hugs and love, and they're just on point. So amazing. Massive, massive gratitude to the Liberty's Horizon team, all of our team leads, all of our volunteers and friends that have stood up and showed up. So epic. And you know what? We love each other even more now. Like, that's the way that teams make things happen and learn and grow. Good stuff.
Yeah, and I really want to show some love to the AV team and the film crew. You guys, I mean, behind the scenes work, these guys are like 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, setting up training gear and preparing. So much going on behind the scenes. Huge love for all the behind the scenes stuff, the AV crew, the audio.
All right, Steve. Way to go, Steve.
This would not happen without you.
We really want to do a big shout out to all the folks in the live stream arena who've said yes and typed in from across the globe. It's been so great to come together in person, but also know that this kind of consciousness is broadcasting out to the world around us. And is recorded, is being also recorded. So many of you purchased recordings of the weekend. I'm sure they're going to be still made available on the website and all of those things of the live stream filming. Don't forget about the resource page is there for you. And what are you tracking? How do you want to seal this up?
Would you like to seal it up with a prayer?
Yes.
I'd love to invite Christopher Life up to close us in with a prayer.
Yes.
And a group, we're going to do a group photo after the prayer. So.
Nice. All in for all life?
We're going to do a couple of different photos.
Perfect. Perfect, Seal. All in.
Indeed. I'd love to ask everyone to stand up for a second. Yep. Sure thing. I just want to invite my wife up with me.
Yes, please, Sophia.
Just invite everyone to take a big inhale together. Do one more of those. The choice is ours to rise and act. For we are sovereign descendants of sacred blood, uniting, opening our hearts, and rebirthing humanity now. May we harmonize with all beings. May we embrace change in all things. May we celebrate all that is. And may we radiate love to all life, such that nothing is left undone. We are stars embodied, and we ourselves in the body of life. We are children of earth and sun, siblings with all life today, and parents of all to come. We are here now as earth keepers, integrating the past and creating a thriving future for all. May we live this day and every day, this moment and every moment, all in for all life.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you all for showing the F up. Thank you all for being here for the inaugural event of Liberty's Horizon. Stay tuned for the next coming of the next coming of the next coming.
Beautiful.
We don't know what's happening yet, but it's coming.
All
I assure you.
right. Love each other up. Give each
Yes.
other's numbers. Thank you everyone for your time. Be safe.
Yeah, I love you. Look forward to seeing many of your faces over and over and over again.
I think we're getting the step and repeat up here for photos,
Yeah,
so
let's-
feel free to hang
let's just have
around
some
and do
fun
some
and do some
photos for
shots.
folks.
You do a
And
group
thank
photo?
you everyone. Yes, we are inviting a group
Yeah, let's see
photo
if we
for
can
sure.
squeeze